Hey, I'm Seth Hawkins. Welcome to the Seth Talks podcast. My guest today is a very encouraging person. She is a God-fearing lady, and I think she's going to bring some great introspection to the podcast today. Right now, here is Carly Wood. Carly, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
I see you got your little coffee right there.
Yeah. Oat milk latte.
Yeah. First off, congratulations on the new job as a dentist. Like, that's just incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm a dental hygienist in Dunkirk. I started about a month and a half ago, and I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you got it straight out of college, like, that's just incredible.
Yeah.
For that, I say cheers.
Cheers.
To many blessings and new beginnings with your job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How's life been for you? I mean, how are things going for you as you think of everything that you've been doing this entire year?
Yeah, so starting my new job was definitely really nerve-wracking. Luckily, I graduated at a time where there's a lot of dental hygiene jobs available, just because of the pandemic. It led a lot of people to retire or just kind of switch careers, which led a really awesome opportunity for my classmates to all get jobs right after school. And it's been a kind of a nerve-wracking transition going from school to working as a clinician, but I've really enjoyed it, and it's strengthened me as a dental hygienist, and I'm ready for whatever challenge comes next.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you find it intimidating at first starting the job, or did you get?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was nervous because I am pretty young to be going into like a profession where most people have been in the dental field for 10 to 15 years, and I'm just starting out. But my coworkers have been so gracious and teaching me everything they know, which is really nice because a lot of experience is really important, and I lacked experience, so they're able to give me that by just kind of taking me under their wing and teaching me things. So it's been really great.
Yeah, that's good. I was actually going to ask you that if you had any experience beforehand working in the dental field, or if this was your first time going all in with it.
So I went to dental hygiene school, which is a rigorous 2-year program where we're seeing patients. We're in clinic every day for 2 years. So they definitely prepared me for the day-to-day, everything I need to know, but it's not, as you start a new job, it's not the same as being in school. It's definitely a little bit different. I think anybody graduating from school and working their first day is a little nervous and knows it's not exactly like school. So definitely the transition period, but it's been good.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel that. I feel like right now myself, I'm going through a transition period, like spiritually and also like here, like on earth, like walking and doing different things. Like I feel something good is coming.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is yet, but it's like I'm in that transition where it's like I don't know where it is. And I've been just so freaked out mentally because like I don't know what's going to come to me. But it's just that I feel like the Lord is calling on me to just be patient, be still, and, just follow his direction.
Yeah, and God's timing's perfect. I've learned that a lot this year. I was really nervous for like what was going to come after school, if I'd find a job, like when I would get one. A lot of my friends like started applying for jobs before I did, just because I was so nervous to apply for jobs, so I put it off. But then like as soon as I started looking, one came up right away, and I was just very grateful. So God reminded me his timing is perfect.
Yeah, would you say depending on the Lord, is that what helps keep you motivated, helps keep you encouraged all throughout the day?
For sure. It's easy to forget and get wrapped up in the day-to-day tasks and just going to work and not, looking at the bigger picture. But what really encourages me and helps me is putting everything in perspective of like eternity, that we're not here. We're not on earth for very long, and even hard days are short compared to like we'll be in heaven with Jesus forever. So everything in light of eternity is how I try to stay encouraged and not sad.
Yeah, definitely. Like I just got into positive affirmations. Like for years, my aunt has been buying me these journals where I'm supposed to be writing in it, but I never did it for some reason. So I have like 5 or 6 journals just stacked up in my room. And just recently, a few weeks ago, I started writing these positive affirmations down and just constantly repeating it, just putting positive self-talk out there, putting positivity out there in the atmosphere. Because as I said earlier, I'm going through this transition period. God knows where he's taking me, but I don't know where he's taking me. And so there's a lot of negativity, a lot of nerves, a lot of anxiety, me feeling like I'm not ready for whatever God has in store for me. But just by writing down those positive traits about myself, that assures me that, I'm good, I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah. We can trust our good Father, for sure. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, thank you. How did the pandemic impact you last year when it happened?
Yeah, so I was in the middle of hygiene school when the pandemic began. So I was out of school for about 3 months. Like I said, it's a very clinical based program. So we were seeing patients every day, and all of that came to a halt for like 3.5 months. So then when we got back into the swing of things, when we were allowed back in the building, and they kind of increased the PPE and safety measures for us to be able to see patients, because we do like work in mouths. Like it was not like we had to change to adjust with the pandemic. And so once we got back into the building, it was just kind of like crazy trying to complete all of our requirements so we could graduate on time. But my class was a class of 13, and they're all superstars. We all were able to really work together to see patients and complete our requirements and graduate on time. And it definitely made us better clinicians, very resilient, able to adapt and work hard. And it wasn't easy, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah. Did you find that tough in the beginning when the shutdown happened?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, no one knew when we'd be going back to school and what that would look like. I think not knowing like when we'd be going back, if we'd be able to go back, when we'd be seeing patients, if we'd be graduating on time, all of that was really, really frustrating and scary. Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet it was too. Like, I was at CSM at the time getting ready to graduate. Like, I was on the cusp of getting a graduation ceremony, and I had that taken away from me.
Right.
So that created a lot of frustration, like, for myself also. But I think relying on the Lord, really depending on Him, helped me kind of get through that period of time. And, I mean, even through the whole pandemic, because we're still, going through it now with this new Delta variant and whatnot out here. So I just think relying on the Lord has really kind of helped me out.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And, like, just having family and friends close and communicating, like, with my loved ones and them, like, that we're all in this together, and having a good support system and community really helped me, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I never really knew the importance of having, like, a good support system or community, just because sometimes I think I'm a loner and I'm supposed to go and do this life alone,
yourself,
but, like, we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah, and that's definitely my inclination too, is like to just sit in my room and think that I can solve all my problems myself, which is not healthy or good. But even just being home a lot too, I got really close with my parents, and we started like, dinner became like the most exciting part of the day, and we would always like cook dinner together, and once a week we'd like go get carry out, and when we were all shut down. And just having like that community and that closeness was really, really encouraging, and it's kind of trickled into even life where we are back at work, and we still have that closeness. So that was a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, my therapist, she always calls me Captain America or Superman, because so she thinks she's like, you always think you're Superman or Captain America, and you always think you can do everything, but then you just always burn out. I'm like, I don't know. I just it's hard to it's hard to unhook from those thoughts, thinking that you can do it on your own, but
it's retraining your brain, to like that it's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to need people. That's how we were made. Yeah. And we're made to need a God, like God didn't make us to not need Him. We can need Him.
Yeah, we have to surrender, fully surrender.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into your spiritual journey and how you got into that, when did you get into drinking coffee? I got into drinking it when I was, I'd say, a freshman in college, and then afterwards I just completely stopped. Now I'm just on and off with it. I don't do it all that much, but when did you start doing that?
Oh my gosh. I think probably like my sophomore year of high school I started drinking coffee. There's like, I don't know, it's a little crazy, but my mom drinks butter coffee. It's like a big thing. If you look it up, by Bulletproof is like the trademark like butter coffee, and it's delicious. So I started drinking that in high school. It's like straight up what it sounds like. You put coffee and butter in a blender, and it is so good and creamy. I know it sounds so strange, but that's what got me hooked on coffee. And I don't drink butter coffee anymore, but now I'm just a big fan of the oat milk lattes, and I love coffee. Probably too much.
Nah, I've like never really had it like that, but if
it's good, you should try it.
If I am down for coffee, I get a good cocoa mocha latte from Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
If I'm craving it.
Is that coconut?
No, it's like chocolate.
Oh, okay.
So they say cocoa mocha latte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Coconut coffee does sound good.
Yeah, like that's a big thing nowadays too.
Yeah. What's your favorite coffee place, or your favorite place to get coffee?
I really like Rise Up. I really like the lobby, and I mean I'm down prefer Dunkin' always too. It's nice $2 cup of coffee. That's not bad.
No Starbucks.
I'm not a Starbucks fan. I can't say I am.
I had somebody on the podcast yesterday, and she said she wasn't a Starbucks fan either. I don't know.
Not to hate on them, but they burn their beans, so that's why it doesn't taste very good to me. Yeah, not a Starbucks girl.
Didn't know that. But shifting gears from that, when did you start your spiritual journey? Was it when you were younger? Was it as you got older? Like, when did that all start for you?
So, yeah, I grew up in going to church, and I think when my faith really became my own was my sophomore to junior year of high school. I hit a period where I was kind of lonely, and I took that loneliness to really, I think actually God used that loneliness to kind of draw me to Him. I started reading the Bible. I started doing devotionals, and then like kind of reading like the little verses that went with the devotionals, and then like that was a huge blessing because that led me to start just like kind of picking a book of the Bible and just reading. And through that and through like really great friends who also loved the Lord, I really grew in my relationship with God. I got baptized, I think it was like my senior year, and really from there my relationship with God has just been steady building. It's not perfect by any means, but just learning how to trust Him, how to die to myself and not love this life more than I love Him, and not to love myself more than I love Him. I heard a really good quote today. It was like, the opposite of loving God isn't loving Satan, it's loving yourself. Like, everyone, like self-love and loving yourself and putting yourself first is really popular right now, and it's such an easy like trap to fall into, but loving God is like the most important thing, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I always heard the saying growing up, like, you got to keep God close, you got to keep Jesus first. And me, I grew up in the church my whole life, but I never really understood what everything meant. Like, I was just there because my family was telling me to go there. Exactly. It wasn't until, junior year, senior year of high school where I found myself in these moments where I was stressing about my future and what I was going to do next, where I really felt that voice of God telling me to get closer to Him and seek Him and actually have a conversation with Him about all of my issues, about what I was dealing with internally, because He does understand what we're going through, because He can see us. He created us, so He knows what we're going to go through. He just wants us to go to Him and talk to Him about it.
Right. Yeah, and it's encouraging too, like, to know that Jesus was fully man. Like, He walked this earth and He was tempted with every temptation, and like, relating to Him, knowing that He knows us because He suffered with us. He knows what it was like to walk on this earth. That's really comforting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is probably like another topic of conversation, but I feel like some people, when they do distance themselves from God, it's just, I think they feel like they've made so many mistakes and they've messed up, and they just feel like they're not worthy of God's love, and so they just kind of distance themselves and separate themselves from God. And it's like, He still loves us and He still wants us to be a part of Him. It's just we still have to make that connection to go to Him, regardless of how we feel.
Right. I think, we get in our own way a lot. Like, I heard another really good, I was listening to a sermon on the way to work, and the guy's illustration, Jonathan Pokluda is this pastor's name. He's in Texas, and he is my favorite pastor. He's awesome. But he was saying that, like, he has a pool, and he was, like, looking out the windows, and he saw, like, his 2-year-old, like, flailing in the water. He's, like, the worst thing that you could ever see. And he said, like, out-of-body experience, like, you run and you save your kid as fast as you can. And, like, that's how, like, God doesn't just like watch us when we're drowning. Like, He runs to us and He goes after His children because He loves us. But like, we don't, I feel like with shame and like all that stuff that like we put in, like we block off our relationship with God because we keep ourselves distant by shame and guilt and just thinking we're not worthy when we're not worthy. But God is gracious and merciful, and He comes and He does rescue us, and there is grace and there is forgiveness. We don't have to keep running from Him. So I loved that illustration of like He runs after us when we're drowning, and He will rescue us. We just can't, push Him away.
Yeah, it's like there is grace and there is forgiveness if we, have that ability to go to God and ask for, that forgiveness. And I think that's like the toughest thing, because we feel all this shame and all this guilt, but it's like at the same time, Jesus took all of that on the cross. He took all the pain and all the suffering, so we didn't have to go through it. And so that always teaches me that it's like, I'm not perfect. I try to aspire to be like Christ, but sometimes I'm not always as perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the one thing my grandfather taught me with God, he was like, God's always looking for your heart. Yeah, he always sees your habits and your behaviors and what you're doing, but it's all about your heart at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like if your heart is pure and if it's right for Jesus, then you're good to go.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally.
What's your thoughts on like these pastors and these evangelists out here today? Like Joel Osteen, for example. Like me, I kind of shifted away from listening to Joel. Like I listen to Billy Graham a lot.
Yeah.
That's one pastor that I like to listen to. What's your take with that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I don't listen to a lot of like celebrity pastors, mega church pastors. That's not really my jam. But like, I don't know. I think if a pastor has good fruit, they're worth listening to, and if you can see that in their church and they have a well-disciplined body, like church body, that's definitely good. It's hard because, we don't see that part. We see like, what they post on Instagram and stuff. So it's hard to know. Joel Osteen's always kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know, but I don't know him, so how can I can't judge him, but I don't listen to him. But I've heard really good things about Billy Graham. My mom's a big Billy Graham fan. And the only way I know Jonathan Bacluta is because he's out in Texas, and I listened to his, he had a young adult podcast called The Porch, which is like a young adult ministry that's kind of popped up all over the United States now. They do satellite campuses, and it's really awesome. And I listened to him there, and then he did move out of that, and now he's a head pastor in Waco, and that's how I continue to listen to his podcast, just because I've really enjoyed how he preaches. But another thing, with these big pastors and the mega church guys, if you compare what they're saying to the word and it lines up, and hey, if it makes you love God more, definitely listen to them. That's Jonathan Bacluta makes me love God more, and that's why I listen to his podcast. The way he preaches and the way he explains the word makes me excited about the gospel and encourages me. So that's why I really love listening to him.
Yeah, I feel you. My uncle, he put me on to Billy Graham.
Yeah.
I think he sent me a clip from a sermon he gave just talking about the youth and the young generation. And this was back in the 70s. And it's crazy to think how relevant that is now in 2021. This generational gap between our generation and let's say our parents or our grandparents' generation, and how things are just still so different. And we're moving away from the church. We're moving away from the gospel and the truth. And we're being so consumed by the world. And it's just so important that, we keep the Lord close and we keep him close to us. Because it's once we create that separation, there's that distance. It's what is the world,
Yeah. And Billy Graham, his ministries have I'm pretty sure they're, I've heard stories about his church, and he's brought so many people to know Christ. He has a great track record. Guy.
Yeah. My old pastor, before he passed away, we used to have recordings of him giving the sermons, and I was young at the time, so I didn't really know what he was talking about. It's now I actually listen back to it. I put the CD in the radio because it's so old school. It's not on any platforms, but I put the CD in the radio and I just listen to him speak all this truth, man. It's insane, just to see such power, such conviction, being spoken. And he was just speaking, the truth through the word, through the gospel. And it was really touching a lot of people in the church. And it's touching me even now as a young adult. So I just think it's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Technology is amazing that we can listen to these sermons. And
Yeah. You're a church leader at your church, right?
What do you mean?
Don't you lead, stuff programs and stuff at your church, or no?
I'm hospitality coordinator.
Got you. I thought you did. You did. No.
Help. Yeah, we have a little breakfast in the morning, so I kind of coordinate who brings that. It's awesome.
Got you. Okay. Shifting gears from that, how important do you think it is to have a relationship with God?
Yeah, I think it's the most important thing in my life and in anyone's life. It's not just something that we're gonna have on earth. It's eternal. It's even after life.
Yeah, I think it's important. I always try to talk to him every day, whether it's in the morning or in the evening times. I try to do it where it's throughout the day, I can just whisper under my breath to him. I don't want to come off as too crazy, but then again, I'm wearing a mask, so it's not people can tell what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's maintaining that relationship with him and keeping him close. I don't really believe in like talking to him when you need something and then you just kind of
Right.
forget about him. You have to keep him close through the good,
Yeah.
and the bad.
He's always with us.
Yeah. Especially during the good, though, because it's like, yeah, it feels good and you're feeling great, but you still have to acknowledge him, still have to give thanks to him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have moments where you feel his presence, or when was the first moment where you really felt his presence and you felt him speaking to you?
Yeah, definitely like through reading the Bible, like when I first started reading the Bible, and just, you hear all the stories in church and through sermons, but there's just a different, like, that realization that, this is the inspired word of God. He did these, like, the Bible isn't just like some make-believe book, like these events happened, and like, I think that was the first time, like, I felt his presence. I knew he was with me, and I knew that, he is who he says he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I told this story a while back on my podcast, but I had a new job that I was working at, and I was just so anxious. I was just so nervous. It was outside of Calvert County. I didn't know what I was doing. And, I just went to the bathroom, and I just said a little prayer, and I felt like that little voice. I felt that presence give me the strength to keep going and keep pushing. So it was like with that, by nature, I just continued to pray and just keep doing my thing, and I kept the Lord close with me during that time, and he brought me through that situation when I didn't think I could do it. Yeah.
Amen. That's amazing.
And that's what led to me getting baptized for a second time.
Yeah.
I mean, I got baptized when I was 12, but I felt like I didn't really know like the truth that much.
Right.
So once I knew more at 17, I felt like, okay, now it's time to really, give my life to Christ and actually at least attempt to live a life for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any Bible verses that stick out in your mind that's like a favorite?
Yeah. One of my favorite ones is John 3:10. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to look it up. I'm really bad at memorizing.
No, I'm bad at I'm bad at it too.
Oh wait, I said 3:10, but it's 3:30. He must increase, but I must decrease. It's like the simplest verse. I probably should memorize.
Oh, you're good.
But that's why, it's always just been, I think it's because it's so short and sweet, it's been my favorite verse for literally like 4 to 5 years. It's just how like a simple way that I want to live my life, to put God higher and my desires and my flesh lower.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the verse, the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah.
At the top of my head, I can't remember where that verse comes from, but I mean, that's one verse I always keep in the back of my mind, because I feel like as a human being, with me being covered of the flesh, I'm always trying to rationalize things and always trying to find the reason for things that there are no reason for. Like, there is no explanation or understandings for why things happen in this world. So, if you can just have that ability to let go of all of that and, find some peace, that can help you, out in your struggle or your situation.
Yeah, and it's amazing that he does offer us peace that surpasses understanding. Like, we don't understand why we have peace in trying situations, but it's because of Christ, because we lay it at his feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the years, as you've evolved and you've grown, how do you feel like your relationship with God has evolved?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, rather than just me, asking God for things, I really began thanking him for things. Rather than just wanting more and more, I've just really tried to change my prayers to just thanking God for what he's already given me. And more so like growing me in my, just in my spiritual maturity. And I think that, looking back, I can see how, far I've come, but then, day to day, it's hard to measure. But, but then, I still struggle with, the same things, I get so busy and I fight my flesh that I, don't read the word and I don't prioritize that. But, so it's, the same struggles are still there, but at the same time, I feel like my understanding of the gospel has grown, and knowing his sacrifice, how complete it was, and just relying on him more than myself.
Yeah, likewise. I've been getting more of showing God gratitude during my prayers also, just, thanking him.
Yeah.
I listened to a sermon by Tyler Perry, and he was like, we have to climb and maintain, and we have to pray, and we have to worship. You climb, you keep
good.
going, you maintain, you keep up with the
Yeah.
consistency of what you're doing. You pray, you keep asking God for what you want, asking God for clarity, asking God for peace, and you worship him. You thank him for what you have, thank him for, the house that you live in, the car that you
Right.
drive, like all that stuff. If you can climb, maintain, pray, and worship, then you'll be good to go. And
Yeah.
I try to keep those 4 words in the back of my mind all the time, even when it gets rough, because
really
it gets rough. We're of the flesh.
Yep.
I blame Adam and Eve for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Last question on spirituality before we get into, your work as dental, doing that thing.
Yeah.
If you could give a piece of advice to anyone looking to, surrender, give their life to Christ, or just begin their spiritual journey, what kind of advice would you give to that person?
Yeah, I'd say start reading the New Testament. Start with Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Just start on the first page of the book and just read it all the way through. And then when you finish, keep going. It's not, the Bible isn't like an outdated book. Like, it's alive. It's the literal Word of God. And it's amazing what you'll learn about God and how it'll just show you his character. So start reading the Bible and find a really good community of believers who read the Bible and ask a lot of questions. Find someone you trust that knows the Bible and ask them a lot of questions, because that's really helped me over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really helped me this year is finding that community of people to share, the gospel with. Because at first it was just me, on my own, just reading the Bible like on my own, or not even being as consistent with it, not even keeping, God close as much. And then I reconnected with an old friend of mine. Shout out to this guy sitting right there. And, it sparked my passion back to reading the Word again. And it really, motivated me to, to strengthen my relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful thing that I was able to do that. And it just goes to show that it's just, it's never too late to, reevaluate your relationship with Christ and get better.
And we said we're not supposed to do this life alone. And the living Word of God is available to us through the Bible. And also, I wanted to add, just pray, God he hears us and he wants us to talk to him. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up here in school, here in Calvert County, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Anne Arundel County.
Oh.
Crazy. Southern Anne Arundel County. When I found out that I was like 12 minutes away from Northern High School and like I was 25 minutes away from the high school I went to, which was Southern, I was very upset because I was like, wait, I could have like half as much time on the road to school. But yeah, so I went to Southern. It was good. I feel like nothing too noteworthy. I didn't like school back when I was in school, but now looking back, I wish I enjoyed it more because high school wasn't that bad.
Why didn't you enjoy it that much?
I don't know. I guess I didn't have like that many friends in school, and that like was a time where I was like kind of lonely, but like I kind of mentioned earlier, like God used that loneliness to show me him. And then my last 2 years of high school, junior year and senior year, were really good because I had a good group of friends outside of school. They didn't go to my school. A lot of them went to Northern, or I don't know, other Calvert County schools. But so like at school, I didn't have a lot of friends. My best friend Melinda went there, and that was fun. And I think I was just, always thought the grass was greener on the other side. Unfortunately, I was just like thinking life outside of school would be so great. But now looking back, I'm like, it wasn't that bad. I wish I enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have as many, like, just going to school and doing homework isn't that bad.
Yeah. Now, like, I enjoyed high school.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I fall into that category of people who enjoyed high school.
Yeah.
Because, part of me, like, I liked having that time to myself when I was, like, alone to myself. But I enjoyed communicating with people.
Right.
Joking around in class with my acquaintances and whatnot. Homework wasn't, as hard or as stressful on me. So it's like, I do miss high school life sometimes. Right. I know a lot of people don't really miss it and they're not as nostalgic about it. But, I liked it. I enjoyed my time.
I don't miss it. But if I could go back, I would tell myself to enjoy it more.
Yeah. What inspired you to go into the dental field?
Yeah, that's a good question. Growing up, I always loved going to the dentist, which is so funny. I had braces for a really long time, so I was there like every month getting like my like bands changed and stuff. So I spent a lot of time at the dental office. And then when I was like a junior in high school, I remember sitting in the dental chair. My hygienist, Jeannie, she encouraged me that she was like, you might like being a dental hygienist. She was telling me how like she homeschooled her kids while working and worked part-time and had a lot of flexibility, but still like was able to have a career, and you know, like make extra money for her family. And I thought she was really cool, and I liked the fact that she, you know, was able to have like a work-life balance and have kids and also work. So then I started looking into dentistry. I shadowed a little bit to see if I would like it, and then it really did combine my love of like science and patient care and like patient interaction. And you go to the dentist more than you go to the doctor. Like you go to the dentist, the dental hygienist, every 6 months, so you really can build relationships with patients, which is really cool, and that was something I was interested in. But then there's also like a little bit of like doing the same thing every day, which I really like. I like the fact that, you know, there's a routine and it's pretty structured. And then also the prevention aspect, you know, getting your teeth clean keeps you from getting cavities, keeps you from getting periodontal disease. So keeping people healthy was really important to me too. So that's like a long answer, but a lot of factors.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm scared of the dentist.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Are. It makes me sad because one of the cool things is that I work with children a lot, and when we have kids in the chair, like our main thing is to like not scare them, like make the dentist as fun as possible. Like we call like our mirror like our lollipop, and we call like our instruments our like tooth counters, and like the suction we say it's our spit sucker. Like we try to make everything super fun for the kiddos, and we have a treasure box that has a bunch of toys in it, so we try to make it fun. Yeah
I had my wisdom teeth out earlier this year in January. I was so nervous, like the build up to it, I was just so terrified.
Was it that bad though?
It wasn't that bad. Like it wasn't a bad surgery. I had no complications afterwards, but I had all that stress. Like I'm sitting there in the chair, I was like so tense.
Did they put you to sleep?
Yeah, they put me to sleep.
Yeah, so then luckily you don't remember anything.
Yeah, I remember them putting the IV in me, and they were struggling. Yeah, they were struggling to find the vein, and once they found it, he was the surgeon was like, he was like, the hardest part of the surgery is over.
Mm-hmm.
Within like a minute, I was knocked out. I don't remember much afterwards.
Yeah.
I wanted to see my teeth afterwards, but I forgot to ask the people to show it to me because I was so nervous. And then when they woke me up, they were pretty much pushing me out the door like, all right, it's time to wake up.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, I wanted to see my teeth.
Yeah.
But college, which college did you go to?
So I went to University of Maryland College Park for 2 years to get my prerequisites. And then my sophomore year, I applied for dental hygiene school. And I went to the University of Maryland School of Dentistry in Baltimore.
Gotcha.
And their hygiene program there is pretty small. It was only 13 of us. And it's a 2-year program, so then I graduated with my bachelor's of dental hygiene.
All right. What made you choose College Park versus choosing any other different college in Maryland?
Yeah, my sisters and my mom all went there. So I was kind of like born a terp. And it was close to home, and I was dating David at the time, and I didn't really want to go super far. And I commuted. I knew I wanted to do dental hygiene school, so I kind of wanted to save up that money and not plant my roots super deep on campus, since I knew I'd be leaving in 2 years to go to hygiene school. So I was able to commute and save money, and I liked it. It's a really nice school.
Yeah. Throughout your entire college time, you know, through the time you were at College Park and you were in dental school, what are some of the lessons that really stick out to you that you learned during your time in school?
Yeah, I think, like, I would overstress about everything, and then everything ended up okay. So I think learning that, like, in light of life, don't stress too much. Like, don't major on the minors and don't minor on the majors. Like, keep what's important central, and don't like stress too much about what's not that important. Like in the grand scheme of things, yes, tests are important, but I would over stress about tests, and they're really minor, and I don't remember any grade I got on tests. Like, you know what I mean? After it's over. But like the things that were important to me was my family and my faith and my friends, and that's what still exists. Like that's what is important, the most important thing, and it will always be. So, you know, spend time with my family and my friends and make those relationships while being a good student, but not focusing too much on school.
Yeah, by far. I mean, it's 100% easier said than done, but I feel like if you can kind of like take that mentality like all throughout life, I feel like you'll be good.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm so jealous of my grandfather because he never stresses. Maybe he does stress and I don't see it, but I feel like he never sweats the little
Yeah,
things. You know what I mean?
exactly.
He just pushes it by.
And it's the little things that we don't have to stress, you know. So,
Exactly. You know, we should be giving it to the Lord, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but you know
yeah,
how it
it's
is.
easier said than done.
Exactly. As we continue to roll on through this year, 2021, what are some goals that you have for yourself?
Yeah, good question. So, you know, save money, buy a house. I feel like a lot of my goals have to do with just preparing for the future. I'm getting married in next spring, so preparing for that physically, like in terms of saving up money, buying a house, all those good things, but then also like spiritually preparing and yeah, that's a big one. Just become a better clinician, continue to grow as a hygienist. You know, I'm still new, so figuring all that stuff out and growing in my relationship with the Lord and getting super connected at my church. I started going to Friendship Community Baptist Church in Friendship, Maryland, like about a year ago. So I'm still new there and learning and meeting a lot of the people. So getting more connected has been definitely a big goal of mine as well.
Nice. I hope you reach all those goals.
Yeah, thank you.
I know me myself, like I wrote down like some of my goals for this year. I think December of 2020, end of that year, and I'm starting to like check off like some of those
That's
things.
awesome.
Yeah, there are some things that are still in progress, of course, but like I'm starting to see like the power of manifestation, putting your thoughts out there and just writing it down and just letting the universe play its course with everything.
Yeah, I was always super goal oriented, like in school, but like since graduating, I've kind of just like I haven't had as many goals. So that's a good question. Makes me think. Maybe
Yeah.
I need some big goals.
Yeah, you never know. And from my final question to you before I go ahead and
Okay.
wrap this up is, if you could give a piece of advice to your former self, let's say in high school, freshman year, sophomore year, what would you say to that young Carly?
Yeah. I think I would tell her not to worry about what other people think and just to be myself. And just to pray more and worry less, which sounds so cliche, but like, what does it matter what people think of me, you know? Like, in terms of if I could have a greater relationship with God versus worrying about what other people think and worrying about tests and all that other stuff that I stressed so much about in school. If I took all of that energy and prayed and did the good things in life, you know, how much greater of a person would I be? So, yeah, pray more and worry less. That's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, once again, thank you for your time again. I say cheers to more blessings and new opportunities for you.
Yeah.
What a great podcast this was. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys stay blessed and stay encouraged.